Hey guys, how are you all doing? Hope you're having a wonderful Easter weekend. This is another driving test at Bromley Driving Test Center on Saturday, the 9th of March 2024. Unfortunately, this driving test was a fail, and this is actually the 5th attempt for this learner. And again, it's a sad test. Sad one because we have another fail for a ridiculous reason. So, something I cannot explain, but you get to see ahead. Anyways, so if you haven't watched the learner's previous test, then I would put the link below, and that was the 4th attempt, which was failed for following another. Actually, that was the third one. The third one was for following another learner in the wrong lane at the junction, and then the fourth one was for roundabout. Yeah, and these were all within the last 2 months. So yep, this is the 5th one, and we have, I believe it was about 4 minor faults and then this one serious fault at the traffic light. So let us see and go ahead to see how the test went. So this is a different route. We haven't normally taken this route for a while now. So let's see what to expect on this route. Test time is 11:11 a.m. in the morning. And of course, the 9th of March, if you check your calendar, happens to be on a Saturday. And as weird as it might sound, this road is actually 30 miles an hour. But yes, keep in mind, ignore that number. Only drive according to safety. So what is safe, the condition and all that. But at the same time, remember that at some point, it might actually be okay to, 21, 22 miles an hour on this road whenever it is possible. Because if you're driving below 20, say about 18, 19, it might just seem like if you actually think the road is a 20 road. So whenever it is safe, there is no traffic coming on towards you, and the road allows for that, then don't be scared to go over that 20 boundary. But definitely not past 25. I do not believe that will be safe on this road. It's too much of residential and too many cars parked on both sides. And as you would see here, pulling up on the left, positioning is too wide from the curb. Now, I do not have the result for this driving test, but I would not be surprised if there's a minor fault there. But again, because it's the first one, it is not uncommon that the examiner might just ignore that and then pay attention to it on the next one after, or the one following. So yeah, because you're gonna do this maybe 3, 4, 5 times. Sorry for the interruption. And I must say that turning was quite very slow, but not a problem. Luckily, the road was quite empty anyways. And if you have already noticed, being a Saturday, luckily the road is still quite, empty. And you can see there are many cars parked up on the drive on the street. So most people are still indoor at this point, probably getting ready to leave the house for the Saturday rush hour. So take advantage of this on your test. Don't be too anxious. Don't be too hesitant. Get to those junctions. If there's nothing to wait for, make progress and get on with it. Be careful on this bend, and remember that if you're going straight ahead across the road, do use your signal right to leave this road so that other road users know that you're actually leaving the road. Otherwise, they might just think that you're following the bend. And don't forget to look out and wait for any oncoming traffic from your left hand side on the bend. So far on this test, for the time being, we are a little bit on the slow side making decisions at these junctions. As you see, we haven't really made much progress yet. So keep this in mind. This is obvious that if this was to be during rush hour or in a more busier time, you can see here already as an example where and why the learner would actually struggle, and a fault or serious even possibly during rush hour would be ringing the bell already. And at this junction, we are now coming back into the 30 miles per hour zone. I would assume that there would be a minor fault for awareness and planning for the next instruction to turn right here. Now pay attention to our speed. Currently is about 25-26 miles an hour, and we're turning right here. So if you imagine how quick that braking would be, and there's this white Range Rover behind us, so that would definitely be a minor fault. Luckily that it actually isn't a serious fault. I mean, you can go backwards again and watch that again. We were just too close to that road to be at that speed. Just to remind you again that the faults I am giving on this test are my own analysis of the video, because I haven't got the result for this test. So these are my analysis. . So some of the roads on this route I have actually done in the very few first videos I did for Bromley test route, but then some are actually also totally new. So I would call this a new test route for Bromley that I am going to be doing later in the near future. Be careful pulling up in front of someone's driveway if there are other alternatives to stop. Unless if of course the examiner actually asks you to ignore it. Otherwise, I would advise to avoid it, park somewhere else. Like in this case, there were other options where we could have stopped just before that driveway. So keep that in mind. Okay, so ahead is where the learner got the serious fault. So this was at the second sets of traffic lights ahead. The instruction was to turn right at that traffic light. So let's watch and see what actually happened there. Now, at this point, if I was actually driving, there was an opportunity earlier to come right into the right lane because these sets of lights are not far from each other, and I would have gone into the right lane at that point. But if you're still caught up on the left here, it's not too bad yet to still change lane after this light, but that would depend again on the traffic. If you're lucky and there's not much traffic in the right lane, you'd be able to get in safely into the right lane. But if you're not lucky, you might be stranded in that left lane. So right there, you can see we went quite too close and very fast to this Nissan in front here. And that must have happened because the learner was still looking at the mirror while taking that lane, even though the driver had actually given way. So be careful when you're changing lane and you're still hesitant and looking at your mirrors, because it might get you into another problem. If, like in this case, the traffic in front of you had stopped moving. So yes, right here is where we get the serious fault. So while we wait at the primary light at this traffic light or this set of light, we have the secondary light ahead of us. And remember that once you've crossed a primary light, even when the secondary light changes to red, if it is safe, you should continue, especially in this case as a crossroad. We're now waiting in the middle of the road for a safe gap. But if safe gap never comes, what do we do at that point? We'll wait for the light to change to red. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. You know, Malena was probably thinking, lost. I don't know. So light is changed now. And we're sitting here. Sitting. Waiting. Until eventually examiner had to prompt that. So yeah, that's why this test was a fail. So from the feedback, yep, the examiner mentioned that the cars behind obviously started honking. And then at that point, even it took the examiner to prompt the learner before she moved on to cross the line. And things couldn't get worse. So after that situation you see right there, we now have a car that's broken down in the middle of the road on your test. And the examiner had to intervene. So wait for it. And yes, the examiner had to exit the car to assist in pushing the car out of the way. Otherwise, this test is not going to continue. So yeah, now remember, if you ever get into the situation on your test, please, I'm sure before the examiner exits the car, he must have told you to secure the car and all of that. Don't attempt to start the car. It's very simple. You're going to fail if you do that, and you would obviously be invalidating the insurance. And the funny part of the test is that the learner at this point didn't actually know she had already failed at that traffic light. Yeah. Isn't it funny how the highway code rule 243 says not to stop at or near a bus stop? And that just shows you that some of the things in the theory test are in an ideal world. In 1822 or 1815 somewhere, when cars were only owned by very few privileged people. Hence, there was a lot of space to accommodate the very few cars on the road then. But now, in the 21st century, there are parking bays right next to the bus stop. These are legal parking bays, by the way. I have actually seen parking bays right at the entrance of a roundabout. And that was also here in Bromley. Because this is funny, sometimes during lessons, and you have to, encourage learners to, bring practicality and reality into your driving rather than just following the theory test without giving yourself some flexibility. So you don't want to just be so rigid, because in an ideal world that should be what happens, and that's what the theory test is. But in a reality world or in practicality, you can't drive in the center of London the way you're going to drive somewhere in Kent. It's just not going to happen. Or maybe somewhere in Scotland. So you've got to be practical, be a little bit flexible, as long as you are safe and you make sure that safety is at the core of whatever it is or whatever decision you're making. And of course, legal. Otherwise, the ticket is going to get to your house before you even get home. Because of course, these councils don't play these days. And this gap here is not reasonably close to the pavement, so keep this in mind. So I'm going to assume a minor fault for positioning during this maneuver. So at this point, they are now heading back to the test center. Now, unfortunately, although this was a fail for something very, very minor, and why that happened, I mean, I can't really say. But yeah. But on the other hand, this could have also been a fail just for undue hesitations, because in a different scenario with a different examiner, I have seen situations where you would get a serious fault if you repeatedly, hesitate. And that happened quite a few times on this test. We got to certain junctions where we had opportunities to go, but we kept on waiting. Now, the problem you'd have in this case is, if you keep doing this, is imagine this was at 3:30 test, or this was 8 o'clock in the morning, and you've got a lot of traffic, busy, traffic situation, then it will be very easy, and that serious fault would come in very quickly. So, yep, don't be this hesitant. Try to make progress, and yeah. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't forget, again, if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to support the channels with your like, share the videos to your friends and families. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please remember, click the subscribe button so that you get update whenever I post new videos. And if you'd like to support the channel with some contribution as well, please use the thanks icon below the video, and you can donate any token you like to. So £1, £2, £10, nothing is too small. Every little goes a long way. So yep, thank you for watching again, and we're heading for the feedback now. So all the best with your lessons, best of luck with your test if you are having your test before the next video. And once again, happy Easter Sunday, or happy Easter, and happy bank holiday on Monday for the Easter Monday. So yep, see you all in the next video. Stay blessed, peace, and I'm out.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine.